Number 10. Baby Hitler. In 1931, Harriet May Warren snapped a picture of her 2-year-old child, John May Warren, outside her home in the US. She disregarded the photograph until 7 years after the fact, when she saw it distributed in Life magazine. Notwithstanding, the image wasn't actually equivalent to the one she required years sooner, and Life sure wasn't recognizing the infant as hers. All things being equal, Life asserted the photograph was of a child Adolf Hitler. The essence of infant John had been doctored to take after Hitler. This incorporated his hair, which was changed into Hitler's brand name separating. His look and stance were likewise changed to cause him to show up all the more threatening. Child Hitler looked irate, like he was prepared to battle. Harriet wrote to advise Life that the infant was really her child, John, and not Hitler. Life distributed a withdrawal. Nonetheless, it was past the point of no return. Different papers and magazines in the US and Europe republished the photograph and kept on asserting it was Hitler. The photograph before long got to the genuine Hitler, who was angered. He requested his Nazi gathering specialists to educate everybody that he was not the child. The Nazi diplomat in the US even sent a cuter photograph of infant Hitler to the Chicago Tribune and requested that they distribute a withdrawal about the doctored photograph of infant John. The Nazi exertion was pointless, and Western media kept spreading the phony photograph. Some even altered the image to cause the infant to show up more insidious than he previously looked. The purposeful publicity war proceeded after World War II broke out in 1939. Nazi powers in involved Poland even conveyed a book containing photos of the genuine child Hitler to expose guarantees that the threatening infant was Hitler. Tragically, John kicked the bucket a couple of months after the doctored pictures initially showed up in Life. He was riding home on a bike when he fell, breaking the container of milk he was conveying. Pieces from the container penetrated his heart as he hit the ground. He was 8. Number 9. Hitler at Air Alley. One of the more popular photos of Adolf Hitler purportedly shows him going to a supportive of war rally in Munich on August 2, 1914, toward the start of World War I. The picture taker was Heinrich Hoffmann, who might later turn into Hitler's own picture taker. In any case, examinations by German antiquarian Gerd Krummeich demonstrate that the photograph could be a falsification. Krummeich arrived at this resolution after he was unable to discover Hitler in a few pictures taken by different photographic artists. He likewise found another altered adaptation of the well-known photograph that portrayed Hitler's hairdo as spot in an unexpected way. There are signs that Hoffmann and the Nazi Party doctored the photograph for promulgation purposes. The photograph initially showed up in the March 12, 1932, release of the Nazi paper after opponents blamed Hitler for not being adequately devoted. Nazi paper editors distributed the photograph with the inscription Adolf Hitler, the German loyalist ... and the group remains with bursting eyes Adolf Hitler. Number 8. Hitler and Modi. In 2019, Didyu Spandana, a previous individual from the Indian Parliament and web-based media chief of the Indian National Congress Incorporated Party, tweeted a next-to-each-other photograph of Adolf Hitler and Narendra Modi, the leader of India. The photos demonstrated the two men holding the ears of kids. Spandana subtitled the tweet, "What are your musings?" The tweet sent Indian Twitter into a free-for-all. The postures looked unrealistic. The solitary distinction was that Hitler had his hands on the ears of a white young lady, while Modi had his hands on the ears of a dark kid. Obviously, the photograph was later uncovered to be a phony. In any event, the one demonstrating Hitler was. Hitler really had his hands on the young lady's shoulders in the first picture. In any case, somebody altered and supplanted his hands with Modi's to cause it to appear as though he was holding the young lady's ears. Inquisitively, a Facebook page called With Incorporated had transferred the photograph back on July 25, 2018. Nonetheless, it didn't become famous online at that point. Number 7. Hitler outside Landsberg prison. Hitler outside Landsberg prison is another genuinely celebrated photograph. The photograph portrays Hitler presenting outside the doors of Landsberg prison in Bavaria, Germany. Hitler is remaining next to a Mercedes vehicle in the frontal area, with the tremendous entryways of the jail out of sight. In truth, the photograph is genuine. Notwithstanding, it was intentionally miscaptioned. The picture taker was Hoffmann, who had gone to the jail to get Hitler following his delivery on December 20, 1924. Hitler was carrying out a 5-year punishment for injustice, yet was exonerated in the wake of serving only 9 months in Landsberg. Hoffman took a stab at snapping Hitler's picture outside the jail entryways until he was halted by a jail monitor, who took steps to hold on to his camera. So he and Hitler headed toward the southern entryway of the town of Landsberg, additionally called the Bayerder or the Bavarian Gate, to make the effort. Hoffman later said he picked the door since it resembled a passageway to a fortification. Number 6. Hitler in disguise. Germany was at that point losing the battle by 1944. To the Allies, it was clear it wouldn't have been long until the German military disintegrated tragically. This produced worries that the Nazi top chain of command, including Adolf Hitler, would change their appearances to make themselves unrecognizable and escape Germany after the annihilation. For Hitler's situation, there were worries that he could trim his brand name hairstyle and mustache, or alter some other recognizable component. Hitler could likewise embrace some more up-to-date includes, such as growing a facial hair growth or wearing glasses, which could even now make him harder to recognize. This made the New York Times contract Eddie Sens, an acclaimed and fruitful Hollywood cosmetics craftsman, to make a progression of pictures portraying Hitler with or without a few highlights. There are claims that Sens and the New York Times were working with the Office of Strategic Services, OSS, to make the photographs. Sens made a few photographs indicating Hitler without a portion of his brand name highlights, or with some fresher highlights. Some portrayed Hitler with a facial hair growth, another hairdo, or with glasses. Others portrayed him with an uncovered head or an alternate mustache. The New York Times distributed the photographs in 1944. Number 5. The mountain paintings. Hitler had a preference for workmanship. Truth be told, he attempted to enlist at the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts, however was dismissed twice. Courageous, he proceeded to function as a craftsman while working a second occupation as a worker in the mid-20th century. Hitler later asserted he made 3 compositions consistently during his time as a craftsman. In any case, he had the greater part of his unsold artworks wrecked after he became Führer. By the by, a portion of the artistic creations endure and get significant costs today. This has made a whole industry devoted to the creation and unloading of phony works of art, credited to Hitler. In January 2019, the German police assaulted the cloth sales management firm in Berlin and held on to 3 phony artistic creations, not long before they could be unloaded. The compositions all contain mountains. One portrays a man sitting close to a stream with a mountain out of sight. The other portrays a mountain range for certain shrubs in the frontal area, while the third portrays a stream with mountains in the forefront and foundation. Number 4. 63 more paintings. In February 2019, German police attacked the Wiedler sales management firm in Nuremberg and held on to 63 phony artistic creations credited to Hitler. Wiedler had wanted to sell 23 of the artistic creations close by a jar, decorative liner, and seat, which were likewise professed to have been possessed by Hitler. Accordingly, 5 artistic creations actually accepted to be Hitler's work neglected to sell at the closeout, as did the seat. The most costly of the artworks portrayed a mountain and lake and had a base offered cost of €45,000, $51,000. Just the decorative liner and jar got new proprietors. Number 3. Hitler and Kutinga. It is by and large concurred that Hitler ended it all in his dugout, as Allied soldiers surrounded his Berlin safe house. In any case, some question this hypothesis. Trick scholars guarantee Hitler fled Germany and proceeded to carry on with the remainder of his life elsewhere. One well-known case is that he ventured out to some South American country. Other strange speculations express that he fled to one or the other Antarctica or the moon. Creator Simone Renee Guerrero Diaz trusts Hitler fled to South America after the war. In her book, Hitler in Brazil: His Life and His Death, Diaz claims Hitler fled to the town of Nossa Senhora do Livramento, in Mato Grosso state, Brazil. Diaz adds that Hitler changed his name to Adolf Leipzig and had a dark sweetheart named Kutinga. Diaz's proof is a grainy photograph portraying the supposed Hitler with Kutinga close by. Hitler probably looked for a dark sweetheart, since it would make it improbable that anybody would think he was Hitler. Nonetheless, Dias didn't clarify why Hitler actually kept up his first name. Dias added that Hitler passed on at 95 years old in 1984. Number 2. Even more paintings. In September 2006, Barker Ian Morris wanted to sell 21 canvases as far as anyone knows done by Hitler. The credibility of the compositions was purportedly affirmed by student of history Hugh Trevor Roper, who arrived at his decision subsequent to contrasting the marks on the canvases and a journal as far as anyone knows claimed by Hitler. The journal was found close by certain canvases at a plane accident site in 1945. Morris guaranteed the compositions were later lost yet rediscovered during the 1980s. Trevor Roper discovered that the compositions in journal were real in the wake of seeing that their marks were the equivalent. Nonetheless, as per Jonathan Jones of The Guardian, the works of art in journal are imitations. Indeed, each was made to cause the other to appear to be legitimate and full history specialists. They were the handicraft of Konrad Kujau, a prestigious counterfeiter who made a few phony things he ascribed to Hitler. Number 1. Hitler the Liberator. In April 2014, Russian and Ukrainian Twitter accounts were humming over a photograph indicating a picture of Hitler on a structure in Kiev, Ukraine. The photograph was subtitled Hitler the Emancipator. The photograph was first tweeted in February 2014 by a Twitter account called Pravdavaya Pravda. Nonetheless, it turned into a web sensation after it was retweeted by a few unmistakable characters in Russian media. The photograph is certainly a phony, taking into account that the genuine picture on the structure contained shows a man named Stepan Bandera. Truth be told, a subsequent photograph transferred to Twitter shows the picture of Bandera. It additionally contains similar individuals found in the Hitler's photograph in similar positions. Bandera was a progressive who battled for the freedom of Ukraine from the Soviet Union after World War II. Nonetheless, there are allegations that he had coordinated and worked with the Nazis during the war. This time, it seemed like Russian media doctored the photograph and supplanted his picture with Hitler's to mix hostile to EU estimation in Ukraine. This doctored photograph seemed not long after Viktor Yanukovych, the favorable to Russian leader of Ukraine, was forced to leave after arrangement of fights by supportive of EU dissidents. Russian media frequently alluded to the dissenters as supportive of Nazis. Yanukovych's renunciation was trailed by the notorious Russian extension of Crimea and the war in Donbass.